The harmattan came like punishment that year, dry, heavy and cruel. Dust covered the roofs, the air and the people's lungs. In Umuokwe town, even voices sounded cracked. Then one morning, a man wheeled a cart into the market. The cart shimmered with bright umbrellas, red, blue, green, yellow, all dripping with water, though the sun had not rained in months. Umbrellas for harmattan, he called. People laughed at the madness, yet their laughter was curiosity, and a strange pull none could explain. His name was Anayo, but no one really knew him. He spoke softly, dressed neatly, and never stayed in one spot. He carried an old radio tied to his cart that played no sound but static. Each day he parked near the bus stop and opened his umbrellas wide like wings. When people mocked, he only smiled. These ones don't stop rain, he said. They stop what rain leaves behind. Nobody understood, but a few curious souls bought his umbrellas anyway. That evening, a woman named Ngozi walked home holding one of Anayo's umbrellas. The air was thick with dust. She coughed all the way, but under the umbrella, she felt oddly calm. The wind seemed to bend around her. She reached home, hung it by the window, and slept early. At midnight, her husband woke up screaming. "Who is in the room?" he cried. The curtains moved, though all windows were shut. Ngozi turned towards the umbrella and saw a wet handprint on the fabric. By morning, Ngozi looked pale. She returned to the market, her eyes wide. "What did you sell me?" she demanded. Anayo's gaze didn't waver. "It protected you, didn't it?" he asked quietly. "You slept through the night while others coughed blood." Ngozi shivered. "There was a handprint." Anayo nodded slowly. "The wind carries memories. It needed a home. I gave it one." He handed her a small bottle. "Pour this on the umbrella tonight, then hang it outside." She obeyed. The next day, her cough was gone. Word spread fast. People who mocked him yesterday came running. They said his umbrellas cured migraines, nightmares, and even nosebleeds. He became known as the man who sold calm. His cart never ran dry. He always had one more umbrella, as though they multiplied on their own. But the price was strange. He never accepted cash. He only asked for a photo or something personal, like a necklace, a wedding ring, or a lock of hair. Umbrellas don't work without memory, he said. A few questioned it though. The town began to change. At night, people hung umbrellas by their windows and claimed to sleep peacefully. The dust storm softened. Babies stopped crying. But then, something else began. Whispers. Traders swore they heard voices beneath the umbrellas, soft and restless. "Thank you," one said. "I'm cold," said another. A few thought it was imagination. Others burned their umbrellas. Yet every time someone destroyed one, a new gust of dust entered their homes, filling their lungs till morning. The town's pastor confronted Anayo one Sunday afternoon. "What spirit walks through you?" he asked. "Rain is God's gift, not yours." Anayo replied calmly, "I only borrowed what the wind leaves behind." The pastor pressed on. "People are vanishing since you came. 2 market women and 1 boy near the stream." Anayo's expression darkened. "Not vanishing," he said quietly. "Taken back." The pastor shouted, "Blasphemy!" But when he turned to leave, a sudden gust flipped his Bible pages. The umbrellas nearby opened on their own. That night, lightning flashed, though no thunder followed. In her home, Ngozi dreamed of walking through a field of open umbrellas. Each one whispered names she knew, names of the missing. When she woke, her window was wet, and the umbrella she bought had gone. In its place lay a note. It returned what it borrowed. She ran outside to the market, but Anayo's cart was already gone. Only the old radio remained, hissing softly between breaths like someone trying to speak. The next day, the town's air grew heavy again. The dust thickened. People coughed, cried, and covered their faces. Without Anayo's umbrellas, they were exposed. But by nightfall, the sound of wheels returned. He was back, looking older, his eyes sunken. You all begged the wind to leave, he said softly. But who will carry its sorrow? He opened one black umbrella and held it high. The air stilled. From beneath it, water dripped to the ground. Red, not clear. Fear spread again. Still, desperation overpowered reason. Mothers brought sick children. Old men offered rings and bracelets. Each walked away clutching an umbrella and a prayer. The next morning, the market smelled like rain but looked like ash. A farmer's wife fainted when she found her husband standing by the window, staring blankly, clutching a wet umbrella. When she touched him, his skin was cold, but he was breathing. He whispered, "It's not dust anymore. It's them." And he never spoke again. By now, Ngozi couldn't ignore it. Her daughter Ada had been coughing non-stop. Doctors said it was dust poisoning. Remembering how the umbrella once helped her, Ngozi searched for Anayo. She found him sitting by the river, folding the umbrellas one by one, his hands trembling. "Please," she begged, "save my daughter." He stared at her for a long moment, then whispered, "Every cure takes a name. Who will you give?" Ngozi froze. "What do you mean?" He looked away. The wind trades, not heals. She fell to her knees. "Take mine," she said. Anayo shook his head slowly. "No mother's name belongs to harmattan. It prefers youth, purity, innocence." His voice cracked. "It took my wife first." He unwrapped one old umbrella, and inside the fabric, faintly drawn, was a woman's face. "I tried to bring her back," he said, "but the wind never gives. It only exchanges." As the wind howled, Ada's cough grew worse. Ngozi returned home, clutching the bottle Anayo gave her years ago. It still held a few drops of clear oil. That night, she poured the last of it on her daughter's chest, whispering, "Let the air spare her." The next morning, Ada was breathing easily, but her reflection in the mirror didn't move. She stood, alive, yet faint. The umbrella by the window had opened on its own, dripping faint, silvery water that smelled of mint. Anayo felt it happen. The air shifted, whispering a new name. He dropped to his knees by the river bank. "Forgive me," he said aloud. The wind around him grew warm, almost gentle, like hands touching his face. He knew Ada's spirit had joined the collection inside his umbrellas. Still, the town cheered the next morning, saying, "The worst of harmattan has ended." No one noticed Ngozi walking barefoot through the market, holding Ada's clothes, her eyes empty as sky. The pastor led a prayer for peace, calling Anayo a false prophet. But when he lifted his Bible, it slipped from his hands and flew open to a blank page. Words began to appear, written by an unseen pen. "He carries what you refuse to feel." People screamed. The pastor fainted. Outside, umbrellas opened by themselves, hundreds of them, spinning like restless spirits. The air thickened, humming, then silence. When the wind stopped, Anayo's cat was gone again. Rain fell 3 days later. Real rain. Heavy, cleansing, wild. The people of Umuokwe danced in it, laughed, shouted thanks. They believed the curse was over. But that night, rainwater turned brown. The fields flooded, bringing up dozens of old umbrellas buried in mud. They floated like bodies. Each one had a name written on it. Some of the missing, some of the living. Panic spread again. They burned the umbrellas, but for every one burned, two new ones appeared by morning. Ngozi found Anayo hiding in an abandoned house at the edge of town. His hair was white now, his hand shaking. "You lied to me," she said. He looked up slowly. "No," he whispered. "I warned you. The harmattan doesn't stop with dust. It feeds on sorrow, and sorrow never ends." She glared at him. "Then what are you?" His lips quivered. "A bridge," he said, "between those who breathe and those who can't." He lifted one umbrella and showed her Ada's reflection inside. Ngozi screamed, striking at him, tearing the fabric. The umbrella split and cold air burst out, flooding the room. Shadows filled the walls, whispering Ada's name. "You shouldn't have," Anayo gasped. She was safe inside. The wind grew wild, ripping the roof. "Take me instead," Ngozi cried. The air paused. For a moment all sound vanished. Then the wind twisted, entered her lungs, and she collapsed beside her daughter's image. When she woke, Ada was gone, but Ngozi's voice carried an echo that wasn't hers. After that night, Anayo vanished completely. The market stood empty, where his cat once stayed. Only the old radio remained, still playing faint static. But some mornings, when the harmattan wind rises again, people hear a man's voice through the noise saying, "Take cover." Not from dust, but from memory. Those who ignore it cough for days. Those who listen hang umbrellas by their doors. Some swear they see faces inside the cloth when morning light hits just right. The town learned silence. No one spoke of the umbrellas anymore, but no one threw them away either. When children asked, "Why do we keep them?" parents replied softly, "Because we owe the wind." And though no one saw Anayo again, some nights the wind sounded like a man pushing a cart, slow, steady, and wet. It was said that when harmattan begins, the souls inside the umbrellas open their eyes once more, waiting for someone else desperate enough to make a trade. Months passed. The town seemed normal again. Dust came and went. Crops grew. Markets reopened. Yet, no one felt safe when the wind blew. People said the air sometimes smelled of mint and wet cloth, a sure sign that Anayo was near. One night, a young man named Kelechi found an umbrella lying by the roadside. Its handle was carved with a woman's face. He laughed, thinking it was a lucky find, and he took it home. But when he opened it indoors, water poured out and whispered his name. He shut it quickly, heart racing. The water on the floor began to move, crawling towards him like a snake. He ran outside and tossed the umbrella away. The next morning, he found muddy footsteps circling his bed, tiny, bare, and wet. He told his friends, but they mocked him. "Harmattan is playing tricks," they said. Kelechi burned the umbrella behind his house, but that night, his roof tore open in the wind, and the air filled with children's laughter, high, distant, and cruel. By dawn, Kelechi was gone. Only his shoes remained. His mother screamed, saying she saw his shadow still walking around the compound. The town held prayers again, but the pastor's new Bible turned blank like before. Ngozi's name appeared faintly on the front page, though she had died months earlier. Fear returned, sharp and thick. The oldest man in the village, Papa Ude, said, "The umbrellas hold depth. Until the last one is opened, the harmattan will not rest." No one dared touch theirs again. The harmattan was the worst anyone remembered. The wind howled for weeks, and dust turned to fine ash. People started finding umbrellas, buried halfway in sand. Some open, some closed. The strange thing, they never stayed where they were left. Every morning, they shifted closer to homes, handles pointing towards doors. One night, a teacher found all umbrellas in her street open at once, facing the same direction, towards the river. She packed her bags and left Umuokwe before sunrise. By now, stories spread to neighboring towns. Travelers warned, never open an umbrella on Umuokwe. Even in the sun, a journalist from Lagos came, eager to prove the tales false. He filmed himself walking through the empty market, touching every umbrella. Nothing happened at first, but when he played the footage back that evening, the screen showed faces, faint, pale, trapped in the umbrella cloth. His camera melted in his hands. He fled that night, leaving his recorder behind, still whispering Anayo. Across the river, farmers spoke of a man walking with an umbrella that glowed faintly at dusk. They said he looks like Anayo, but older or younger. No one could tell. His eyes were hollow, and the umbrella dripped even when the sky was dry. When they called out, he smiled and said, "The wind owes me now." Then he vanished, leaving a single coin where he stood, wet and cold, though the ground was burning hot. No one touched that coin again. Back in town, the umbrellas kept multiplying. People stopped counting. Some said they grew from the soil. Others claimed they crawled from the river. They began appearing in dreams too. A widow dreamt of her late husband offering her one, whispering, "It's your turn to hold it." She walked to find an umbrella beside her bed, dripping clear water into the floor. That day, she packed her things and left, but her neighbors swore they saw her still wet, standing by the well that night, smiling. In the government office, officials discussed clearing the town. "We will burn everything," they said. But when they sent machines and men to dig, the engines failed, dust filled their lungs, and some co-workers said they heard crying underground. The leader ordered a retreat. That night, every bulldozer in the compound had a folded umbrella sitting on its seat, one for each man who had worked. At dawn, the umbrellas were gone, but the men refused to return. "You cannot fight air," they said. One evening, rain came again, soft at first, then harsh. People danced in the open, desperate for hope, but the rain smelled strange, metallic. When it touched the ground, it hissed like acid. Those who had burned their umbrellas felt their skin sting. They screamed as the rain soaked them. Only houses that still kept an umbrella by the window stayed dry. From those windows, shadows of hands pressed against the glass, shielding the people inside. They didn't know whether to be grateful or afraid. In a quiet corner of the town, a small girl named Aini played near her mother's shop. She found a black umbrella with faint blue lines drawn across its surface. When she opened it, she saw a man's face reflected upside down. Kind, tired, familiar. "Uncle Anayo," she whispered. The face smiled weakly. "Tell them I tried," it said. Then water poured out, soaking her shoes. Her mother ran to her, but Ezine stood frozen. "He said sorry," she whispered. "He said the wind is lonely." The next day, the air felt still for the first time in years. No dust, no coughing, just silence. Umbrellas stopped dripping. People opened their doors carefully. The sun rose, clear and golden. They thought it was over, but that night the moon glowed red, and in its reflection on the river, umbrellas floated, hundreds, forming a circle. At the center stood Anayo, holding one last white umbrella. He opened it slowly, and from beneath, mist rose, carrying faint voices that sounded like everyone who had ever vanished. Ngozi's voice was among them. "Let them breathe," he said. Anayo trembled. "They cannot," he whispered. "The wind won't release them without balance." He looked to the sky and cried, "Then take me." The wind answered like thunder. It lifted him high, tearing the umbrella from his hand. As he vanished into the cloud, the white umbrella fell into the river and burned with blue flame before sinking. That night, the rain returned, real rain, washing every trace of dust from Umuokwe. The next morning, there was no umbrellas left anywhere, not one. The air was clear, the sky wide. People whispered that Anayo had taken the curse with him, but at the river bank, fishermen found something strange. A single coin, wrapped in soap cloth. Inside was a faded photograph of a woman and a child smiling. On the back, in shaky writing, were the words, "For every breath spared, a memory must drown." They buried it under a tree, praying the wind would stay asleep. For years, Umuokwe stayed peaceful. Children grew without hearing coughs. The market thrived again. But some nights, when harmattan returned to other towns, Umuokwe remained untouched, as if guarded. Visitors noticed something else. The air there smelled faintly of mint and rain, even in the dry season. "Your weather is strange," travelers said. Locals smiled nervously. "It's messy," they replied, though no one dared say whose mercy it was. They avoided the river at dusk, where the air hummed softly, like an old radio. Ezine grew older and became a teacher. One afternoon, she saw a student shading herself with a new umbrella, bright red and glossy. Her chest tightened. "Where did you get that?" she asked. The girl smiled. "A man at the station gave it to me. He said it was a gift for good children." Ezine's blood ran cold. "What did he look like?" she whispered. "Tall," the girl said. His eyes looked tired, but kind. That night, rain fell only on Ezine's house. She sat by the window, watching the red umbrella on her doorstep. It dripped, though no cloud hovered above. She picked it up slowly, heart pounding. The handle was carved with her name, Ezine. A voice said, faint but gentle, "Keep it safe this time." She almost dropped it, recognizing the voice, Anayo's. The air turned cold, then warm, like an embrace. "The wind forgets slowly," he said. "If it wakes again, you will know what to do." Then the umbrella closed itself and stopped dripping. The next morning, the rain had cleared and children laughed on the street. Ezine kept the umbrella in her classroom unopened. Every harmattan, she placed it near the window. Whenever the air grew thick with dust, it opened on its own, and the classroom stayed clean and fresh. The children thought it magic. She only smiled and said, "Respect the air, it remembers." At night, she sometimes heard faint whispers from the umbrella, saying names she didn't recognize, names that always faded by dawn. Decades later, when Ezine grew old, she called her grandson. "If the wind changes again," she told him, "don't run. Find the red umbrella." He laughed, thinking it an old woman's story. "Grandma, umbrellas can't stop wind." She smiled sadly. "This one doesn't stop it, it listens to it." When she passed away, they buried her near the river. The red umbrella vanished that night. In the morning, the sky smelled of mint, and a new cart appeared at the market, filled with bright umbrellas again. People gathered, staring at the familiar sight. A young man stood behind the cart, polite, quiet, with a tired smile. "Umbrellas for harmattan," he said softly. His eyes looked old, though his face was young. A woman asked, "How much?" He replied, "Just a memory." When she hesitated, he added, "They are not for rain. They are for what rain forgets." Somewhere in the distance, a radio crackled, releasing a whisper that sounded like both a blessing and a warning. And so, the cycle began again. The people of Umuokwe would one day forget, as all towns do. The umbrellas will return, as they always had. But sometimes, when harmattan blows across the river, you can hear faint voices beneath the wind. A woman singing, a child laughing, and a man whispering, "Take cover, not from dust, but from what the dust remembers." And in that haunting sound, the story of the man who sold umbrellas in harmattan continues, breathing, waiting, never ending. Thank you so much for watching. If you got to this point, please give this video a thumbs up. It will help grow my small YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, do well to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I post more interesting content like this. If you haven't gone through my channel yet, do well to go through my channel. I have more interesting stories like this. Leave a like in each video, leave a comment in each video, and interact with me. Please grow my YouTube channel, share every video. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys in my next video. Bye.